we're going to read a book that's called The Three Little Javelinas. And you know what? This is a book that's a takeoff on The Three Little Pigs. So let's listen about this. This is going to be a good one. And our author is Susan Lowell. That's the person who wrote it. And it's illustrated by Jim Harris, which means that he was the one who drew all the pictures. Do you know what these are on here? These are the javelinas. Here we go. Let's see what this is going to be all about. You can see that all the pictures here. All right. You can see that picture. Look at him. He is strumming a little guitar there, and she's got her little parasol, her little umbrella. So once upon a time, way out in the desert, there were three little javelinas. Javelinas are wild, hairy, southwestern cousins of pigs. Their heads were hairy, their backs were hairy, and their bony legs all the way down to their hard little hooves were very hairy. But their snouts were soft and pink. See them? Soft and pink. One day, the three little javelinas trotted away to seek their fortunes. In this hot, dry land, the sky was almost always blue. Steep purple mountains looked down on the desert where the cactus forests grew. Soon the little javelinas came to a spot where the path divided and each one went a different way. So here they are in that hot, dry desert. You can see they're talking about the cactus here and the purple mountains. Pretty place. The first little javelina wandered lazily along. He didn't see a dust storm whirling across the desert until it caught him. The whirlwind blew away, and he left the first little javelina sitting in a heap of tumbleweeds. Brushing himself off, he said, "I'll build a house with them." And in no time at all, he did. Look, here's the tumbleweeds. See the tumbleweeds? They're kind of light and airy, those tumbleweeds. I don't know. I'm not sure how I think that's going to be, how it's going to do for a house. What do you think? Let's see. Let's keep going. Oh boy. Wow, look at that. I see something there. Then came along a coyote. I think that's the coyote. He ran through the desert so quickly and so quietly that he was almost invisible. Wow, what's invisible mean? I think that means we could hardly see him. In fact, this was only one of Coyote's many magical tricks. He laughed when he saw the tumbleweed house and smelled the javelina inside. A tender, juicy piggy, he thought. Coyote was tired of eating mice and rabbits. Yes. Roscoe, is this a good book? I think so. He called out sweetly, little pig, let me come in." "Not by the hair of my chinny chin chin," shouted the first javelina, who had a lot of hair on his chinny chin chin, by the way. "Then I'll puff, and I'll blow your house in," said Coyote. And look at him, he's doing that. Oh, and look what happened. And he huffed, and he puffed, and he blew the little tumbleweed house away. But in all the hullabaloo, the first little javelina escaped and went looking for his brother and sister. Coyote, who was very sneaky, tiptoed along behind. Let's see what happens next. Well, the second little javelina walked for miles among giant cactus plants along Squaros. They held their purple-red fruit high in the sky, but they made almost no shade, and the little javelina grew hot. Then he came upon a Native American woman who was gathering sticks from inside a dried-up cactus. She planned to use these long sticks, called saguaro ribs, to knock down the sweet cactus fruit. The second little javelina said, "Please, may I have some sticks to build a house?" "Hayus," she said, which means yes in the language of the desert people. Here he is. Look, goodness, he's very hot. Look at that hot sun. Ooh, I think that's a rattlesnake. When he was finished building his house, he lay down in the shade, and then his brother arrived, panting from the heat, and the second little javelina moved over and made a place for him. That was a nice thing to do for his brother. That's very good. I like it when siblings get along. Pretty soon, Coyote found the saguaro rib house. He used his magic to make his voice sound like just another javelina's. Little pig, let me in," he called. but the little javelinas were suspicious. The second one cried, "No, not by the hair of my chinny chin chin." "Bah," thought Coyote, "I'm not going to just eat your hair." Huff. Then Coyote smiled, showing all his sharp teeth. "I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house in." So he huffed and he puffed and all the squirrel ribs came tumbling down. But the two little javelinas escaped into the desert. Still not discouraged, Coyote followed. Sometimes his magic did fail, but then he usually came up with another trick. Oh, let's see what that trick is going to be. The third little javelina trotted through the beautiful palo verde trees with green trunks and yellow flowers. She saw a snake sliding by, smooth as oil. A hawk floated round and round above her. Then she came to a place where a man was making adobe bricks from mud and straw. The bricks lay on the ground, baking in the hot sun. The third little javelina thought for a moment, and she said, "May I please have a few adobes to build a house?" "Sí," answered the man, which means yes in Spanish, the brickmaker's language. So the third javelina built herself a solid little adobe house, cool in the summer and warm in the winter. When her brothers found her, she welcomed them in and locked the door behind them. Coyote followed their trail. Look at that, she welcomed them in. That's very nice. Little pig, let me come in," he called. The three little javelinas looked out the window. This time Coyote pretended to be very old and weak with no teeth and a sore paw. But they were not fooled. "No, not by the hair of my chinny chin chin," called back the third little javelina. "Then I'll huff and puff and I'll blow your house in," said Coyote. He grinned, thinking of the wild pig dinner to come. "Just try it," shouted the third little javelina. So Coyote huffed and puffed, but the adobe bricks did not budge. Again Coyote tried, "I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house in." The three little javelinas covered their hairy ears, but nothing happened. The javelinos peeked out the window. Oh, look. The tip of Coyote's raggedy tail whisked right past their noses. He was climbing upon the tin roof. Next, Coyote used his magic to make himself very skinny. "The stovepipe," gasped the third little javelina. Quickly, she lighted a fire inside her wood stove. "What a feast it will be," Coyote said to himself, and he squeezed into the stovepipe. "I think I'll eat them with red hot chili sauce." Whoosh! Sizzle! Then the three little javelinas heard an amazing noise. It was not a bark. It was not a cackle. It was not a howl. It was a scream. It was all of those sounds together. Yip, yap, yeep, yow! Away ran a puff of smoke shaped like a coyote. See that puff of smoke? The three little javelinas lived happily ever after in the adobe house, and if you ever hear Coyote's voice way out in the desert at night, well, you know what he's remembering. The end. I hope you enjoyed our story. Come back again for another one sometime.